Hi, Emma. This is Claire. I'm gonna try to record this quickly before I lose any more light. Um, yeah. Um, I'm like sort of interested to explore this, like vlogging. I think it could be an interesting way of communicating. Um, but this first video is probably going to be pretty awkward because I don't know whether to look at the webcam or to look at myself, which looks better. So yeah. Okay, so the first book that I think I don't know, I guess I just picked it up, but we both read it. It's Bluets by Maggie Nelson. I thought it would be a good one to start with because I just think that we both connected with it pretty well, and I thought it would be an easy one to talk about because I really like it, and I think a lot of it sort of speaks for itself. If that makes sense. And I was thinking about doing The Stranger, but I don't really have that much time, and I'd have to like think about that one a lot and like write down the things that I want to say. I haven't written anything down, so this first one might be kind of rambly. Sorry about that. But so I guess I'll just start talking about it. Okay, so as you know, the book is like a collection of. Well, I wrote down. It seems to be sort of a collection of thoughts or like accumulations or like an accumulation of thoughts, and the form is called a braided essay, where you have several different braids and you weave them through each other. And I think it's an it's a medium that I'm interested in exploring. The lyric essay, that's usually the kind of essay that I write, I guess. And so personally, the book was pretty important in giving me an idea of like the sort of variations in nonfiction that are going on right now. Because that's what I'm interested in writing. I think I'm taking too long, but and I think that in the braided essay form, there's a really interesting opportunity to really vary the way that you want to speak about things, because if you keep coming back to certain things after discussing your other topics, like she talks about like psychology and philosophy, and like how people in the past, like she talks about Goethe, right? And like here on this section on page 10, she talks about like it's several different numbers, but they're all different aspects of Goethe's studies of psychology and or like his theory of colors. So the medium allows you to be able to come back to something and say restate what you mean in a very different way after discussing different things, if that makes sense. Like she could come back to Goethe and say something like pithy that just like sums up like how she feels about him or what he was saying, or she could say something more explicative. I don't know. I'm just rambling. It's not good. I should have rehearsed this or something. How does that work? I should have written things down to write about. I should have at least thought about it before I started. It's the first one though, so the excuses can be made, allowances. And then I think that also with the braided essay form, what she is able to do is there's this accumulation of feeling with the thoughts, sort of different aspects of her. You get the sense that like this has sort of taken place over like a period of time. Like she talks about like how she's been like writing a book about the color blue for years, and there's sort of like an undertone of like some sort of like love affair that has ended, but maybe sort of taking place in the beginning. You're not really sure, but so like I think there's like a lot of different layers on top of the whole braided thing. So when she can like come up with like these little phrases that especially resonate with the reader, or at least with both of us. Like number 71 on page 28, we both marked it. And she said, "I have been trying for some time now to find dignity in my loneliness. I have been finding this hard to do." And when you say things like that on top of everything, it's just so short, and it's only 2 lines when everything else is has been said, and you kind of have a feel of what's going on. And she says something like that, which is it stands alone, and I can identify with it. It's especially strong. I also just think that it was like my computer just fell asleep there. I don't know why, but I think that was like a really beautiful execution of the concept of the book to write a book about a color, and she does it really well. Like expressing how much she loves the color, but also how she, as she says, she feels almost trapped in it. Like you don't want to get trapped in a single color on the bead, the necklace of beads. I feel like I'm taking too long for this, but I do feel like we should read a passage from the book as part of this thing. And I'm sorry this wasn't great, but you know, at least we got to start on it. I'm really not going to do that much editing this time because, you know, that's a lot of time and stuff. So this is going to be like a long rambling video, but I mean, I did it. It's been kind of fun, but like I think I've learned things from this experience. Anyway, so I'm going to try to find a passage that I want to read. Okay, so I'm just gonna read like a little bit from the beginning because I think it starts off really rough. Okay, 1. Suppose I were to begin by saying that I have fallen in love with a color. Suppose I were to speak this as though it were confession. Suppose I shredded my napkin as we spoke. It began slowly, an appreciation, an affinity. Then one day, it became more serious. Then, looking into an empty teacup, its bottom stained with thin brown excrements coiled in the shape of a seahorse, it became somehow personal. 2. And so I fell in love with the color, in this case, the color blue, as if falling under a spell I fought to stay under and get out from under in turn. 3. Well, and what of it? A voluntary delusion, you might say, that each blue object could be a kind of burning bush, a secret code meant for a single agent. an X on a map too diffuse ever to be unfolded in entirety, but that contains the knowable universe. How could all the shreds of blue garbage bags stuck in brambles, or the bright blue tarps flapping over every shanty and fish stand in the world be, in essence, the fingerprints of God? I will try to explain this. 4. I admit that I may have been lonely. I know that loneliness can produce bolts of hot pain, a pain which, if it stays hot enough for long enough, can begin to stimulate or provoke, take your pick, an apprehension of the divine. This ought to arouse our suspicions. Okay, that's where we're going to stop. Oh my goodness, how have I even thought for this one? Goodbye. I will talk to you soon. I love you. I hope you enjoy this. I'm sorry it's so long and unprepared. It's not very good, but you know, whatever.